all of you right in here? Bessel van der Kolk says that the single most important issue for traumatized people with talk therapy, and I could talk about the brain for a whole another hour here, we need to begin with the body and the breath. So teaching people simple tools to increase body awareness and presence is the beginning. Say one thing also is for certain, that my clients have taught me that people are their own best healers. They truly are. They really, no matter how off balance somebody might be when they come in, usually ask them, what do you need? And sometimes, often it's basic needs. I need to drink more water, right? Because if we don't meet our basic needs, how do we move past that? People know what they need, and they've been disempowered in many ways by our system, all we knew for a long time. And so once they learn healing tools, the sky's really the limit. And I tell them, if they don't practice, maybe they practice for a little while and they stop practicing for a week or 5 years, they still have started a new groove in the brain to do something different. And so when they're ready to go back to it, it'll be there. Because they don't need any pressure, any pushing. Trauma survivors can survive anything. But they need to learn how to take care of themselves, how to listen in this moment to what they need. That's the tricky part. So from the beginning, the intention of Kintla Yoga Therapy has been to empower individuals to see their own light, to heal and reconnect body, mind, spirit, breath, to feel, to increase confidence, to find peace, to rediscover joy, and to move forward with concrete tools, wholeheartedly embracing every aspect of being fully present and alive for the rest of their lives. Just a couple of more things. I also, after that, did a study on mindfulness with the university that should be published next year. Some good things will come out of that. And I want to mention, because I think this is so beautiful, there's a humanities professor at Michigan State University that once a semester brings his class to my studio and asks me to talk about what I do. And he asks me to say to all of them, they fill the studio, and he asks me to say to all of them, we are all survivors of something. Life is not easy. We've all been through something. Because what he does is he teaches his classes to be of service to others, and that begins with understanding ourselves. So exciting to me. Let's see. So I am going to turn the mic over just for a moment to Dr. Stryker, and then Esther. And then
Good morning. I'm just going to speak quickly on the analysis portion. Kintla depicted it very well. I'm not a yoga person. I will never be a yoga person. However, the analysis is very intriguing to me. And what we do is they're administered a self-reporting intake form with about 100 questions on it and an outtake form after 9 weeks. So 9 sessions, about an hour and a half each. So what we have found, and what very striking to me as a researcher, at 100% improvement in subcategory, 100%. Those who extended 9 weeks and got another self-reporting and an additional 9 weeks never returned to their previous levels of anxiety, never. So it was whatever was happening was holding. The other thing is the data seem to indicate that trauma improved regardless of the type of trauma. Trauma is trauma, according to the data. So whether it was a soldier, PTSD, a battered housewife, a student who's gone through episodes of trauma, it really didn't matter. So these were very intriguing to me. We tested frequency, which how often you had anxiety attacks, and we tested intensity, how on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm sure these are all familiar to you. We've all taken these assessments at some point in our life. And positive results in all respondents, every one of them, which from a statistical standpoint, is an incredible finding. So, granted, it is self-reporting. However, the work she's doing with Michigan State University, and they're not doing self-reporting, they're hooking you up to machines, probably MRIs, EEGs, and whatnot. And it is supported additionally by their findings as well. So, from a statistical standpoint, this is an actual incredible find, where you not only have two independent types of reporting lending an incredible amount of validity to the study, but you also have 100% improvement in its holding. There's even a gentleman who, one of her respondents, who didn't come for trauma. I think he just likes to talk to my wife personally. But he even showed improvement in some of the categories. Now, the categories are all psychological categories. And with 103 questions, we pull out a group of them, and those relate to cognitive, like understanding and memory. We pull out another group of them, and those are more emotive, emotion-based. Another group, psychological factors. And so it's a relatively well-used and well-thought-out scale to be used. And honestly, I pirated the instrument from the psychological department, so it's one of those that I use pretty consistently. So,
I would like to ask a question.
Sure.
You said the results were 100% when you did the test after the program. But did you do the test after a gap of after they have stopped the program, and then after 2-3 months or 9 months or 10 months?
No, there was no gap analysis. We did immediately at the 9-week mark, and then if they did another group of sessions,
Another 9 weeks.
Another 9 weeks.
Sometimes another 9
then we
weeks.
did. But we didn't
how
come
long
back.
they last the effects.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, with the person she mentioned with the MSU study with Logan, they did come back several months later without undercare with Kintla Yoga and found that whatever they were doing was holding based on their measurements.
Because how long, that 8 weeks is important, and normally when we are in a session, we learn anything new. At that moment, okay, we are running over and everything looks wonderful. But then how long does it last? That is also, I think, a very important.
One of the things I also tried to do is, so with this word empowerment that so many people are using right now, really, really use that and remind people if they came in really activated, and we do some exercises, reminding them, I didn't do this. Because I don't want people to think that I'm doing it and they can only get it with me. You just did that. You just calmed your nervous system down all by yourself. And so also, if people come for 9 weeks, telling them that you're going to learn tools that you can use for the rest of it's your choice, tools you can use for the rest of your life. So continuing to practice, hopefully, not just we're doing this for 9 weeks and then everything's over. These are tools we probably need to practice for the rest of our lives.
Maybe you can analyze if someone stops doing it, how long does it last, and when does it start waning? Or if they're doing it, how does it increase after a regular practice? So that is also important.
No, that would be a good longitudinal aspect. I will say this, based upon my side of the research, not what she's done with Michigan State. Based upon my side of the research, it seems like they're learning techniques to early identify episodes and the techniques to sort of control them or head them off at the pass, if you will. That's what it seems like.
Body awareness, panic starting, noticing what's happening right here and now in the physical body, in the breath, and then implementing a breathing exercise, or usually it's a breathing exercise that works.
As an example, one person had chronic anxiety to the point where he was hospitalized when he would get an anxiety attack, and they were quite frequent.
Vietnam veteran, actually,
Totally disappeared, and when they do come on, he handles them himself. So that's the outcome.
No more hospitalizations in this.
I have one thing. one thing that I used to explain.
So it's recording.
Thank you. One thing that I'm used to work with people in trauma as well, and in transitioning life. The example that I gave is how much at least this exercise or this experience is the same thing like a shower. If you are in the winter with like minus 10 degrees, maybe you're not exposed too much to exercise and sweating. You're not gonna stick. But if you are like now here in India with 40 degrees and outside no air conditioner, sometimes we need more. So if people are getting traumatized all the time or in the middle of the crisis, they need more. If they are getting away of this, they can self-manage themselves more easily. So they will last forever if not exposed to the storms.
Thank you.
So I don't want to take away from the powerful, important messages that everybody has to say here. I just want to share that I'm part of Mundopado, the cloud software company. We heard of Kintla's profound work that she was doing, and we knew that we wanted to be a part of it. We wanted to partner with her because what she's doing is very profound. She's touching and changing people's lives. But we can't clone Kintla, unfortunately. And so with our platform, we're able to then spread and share Kintla's method on a global basis. So it can go beyond her zip code, beyond who she can touch and see in Michigan. For other yoga practitioners such as Renata all over the globe that have specialized in trauma, that need a tool, a tool that they can then do the research that Kintla and Sam are doing. So within our platform, we have an assessment that we're going to be able to put the 104 questions of the questionnaire on. So essentially, sorry to say this, Sam, but the program can essentially give a Sam to every other yoga practitioner. It can kind of replace the Sam a little bit. To allow everybody around the world to do amazing research and show the efficacy and the growth and change in their clients through Kintla's method. So we're very, very honored and blessed to have joined the Kintla Yoga Therapy family and partner with Kintla to help spread the word of this wonderful method to the world.
Sharing all of this special. It's an honor to be here with all you guys and be here in a Women Economic Forum. It's actually a kind of privilege to be here sharing a little bit of my story and hearing some inspiring stories and work people doing around the world. So I asked her to read the text for can you love the one who, because I'm going to talk about self-knowledge for social change, and I'm going to share a little bit about my history and how I came here and arrived here. So let's start from the beginning. I'm from Brazil, São Paulo. I used to question myself about everything, and I still do. Since a young age, I questioned myself who I am, what I'm doing here in this life, what is the life purpose, why we're here all. And I found myself like searching for many resources, like traveling, studying, and doing things. And I start to understand that one question that I didn't make for sometime, and I question it, how we don't do this. What is the common point, the day that we born until the day we die is us. Why you don't stop to study ourselves? So this doesn't make sense at all. So we study the cell of the cell of the cell, but we don't study who we are. So I start to ask this question for me, and I was blessed to find some great teachers with a lot of patience. Then I start to answer my questions. And the big question that I answer is about, I found it in myself. So self-knowledge starts with us. And when I was 18, I need to figure out what I'm going to do in my life for work. And I start to study business in university. But I wasn't happy because it wasn't my proposed life. And I was working in a multinational company just with executives, like a dream work, and I wasn't happy. And then I went to a volunteer work inside a prison to teach the girls yoga. And when I arrived there, I was shocked because I just met girls like me at the time, with the same hairstyle, having the same conversations, and I was like, wow, what is this? And this changed my life because I understand one important thing. There is no difference between us. We just had different opportunities and choices in life. And then I start to make some choices for myself and change the way I want to contribute to the world. So I discovered my superpower. My superpower is to create room, space for people to find peace inside themselves. And I would like to ask you, everybody here, what is your superpower? What is your superpower?
What I do for work. Yeah.
What it is?
Empathy, understanding other people, compassion, what they bring about.
And you? What is your superpower?
Seems to be annoying my wife. No, I would say what I have found is the ability to understand cross-cultural endeavors in conflict areas.
And yours? What is your superpower?
Passion to connect with people.
And yours? What is your superpower?
Compassion for traumatized people.
Right. And yours?
Building rapport with people.
And you?
Similar, I always say creating spaces of healing for people, environments of healing.
Healing. And your superpower?
Healing, helping people to heal, also and finding their inner self, their special power.
And your superpower?
Create bridges around the world, create spaces for happening.
And yours?
I can see the positive in everything, even in negative situations.
And your superpower?
To help people heal through reflexology and yoga.
Okay. And your superpower?
My compassion.
Okay. And your superpower?
My superpower is the knowledge that we are more alike than we are unalike.
This is amazing. So everybody has a superpower, and we need to, and the world needs this. When we start to understand who we are and what is our superpower, how we need to give voice to the world for this superpower. The world needs this. This superpower was given to us. It's not one thing that we are super special for this. We're not. We have a superpower. Everybody has. And during my journey, I start to work with people in transition in life with traumas. And this grows inside the prison. And I understand, after a while, I understand that there was a gap in my understanding to deal with the world. Because how could I express everything that I discover inside myself without hurting people? Being honest with myself without hurting other people. So I discovered no violence communication, and I started to work with this in mediation of conflict and building peace inside the prison, outside, with conflict with people. So how we can create a dialogue, healthy dialogue, that we can honoring the life between us and inside us. So I started to study this really in a profound way because I have difficulty and a hard time to communicate in a honest way with my soul want to speak, but I don't have the skill, I don't have the tools to do this. And when I start to realize to connect with people, with what is important for our life, I could connect with people even if I disagree. Because we create a space so my opinion is so important than yours and everybody. And so this is amazing. I discovered it, and this is amazing. And then back in 2 years ago, I met one really close friend of mine, and he told me about social entrepreneurship. And I said, wow, it's a beautiful world. Lord, what is this? And he explained to me and said, I don't want to come back to business. I'm a yoga teacher. This is all the business plan thing. I don't like. Thanks so much. And he asked me, just go there and see 3 weeks to see what it is, this course. And I say, okay, let's do it. Because I'm a curiosity, so I do that. I like to explore things. And then I shared my dream. I have been in the prison for young girls for 14 years now. And I want to give them a possibility, help them when they go outside the prison. I want to give them opportunities to change their lives because I knew they wanted. So I shared that we helped one girl. She asked for her to pay her studies, and we paid. And she went to the university, and she did find economy, and she found a job, and she changed her life. And I want more girls like this. Why not? Big, small, or big, dream big is the same word. So let's dream big. So I shared this, and this was selected for doing this project for 3 weeks. And after I speak, and this was selected for the pitch. And last year, born, Instituto Mundo Aflora is my institute for help girls and young people with conflict with law, to give them opportunities to make their new choices for effectively reintegration into the society. So it's like a Tinder, social Tinder. So we met their needs with some people in the private sector and organization who are looking for people with the same profile. So we do the match. So my company is a social business that I give courses and I do programs for leaders, for regular people have traumas or in transition in life, using tools about self-knowledge like yoga, meditation, Ayurveda, and Vedanta. And then we have 3 pillars. Like intention is all about what happened inside us, about self-knowledge, how we accept ourselves as we are and with our superpower. The second pillar is about words, how we speak in a very peaceful way to create an environment that allow our difference to be together. And the third pillar is about action. How, if after discovering our superpower and how we can know how to relate with each other, how we can change around us, because we have this superpower and we need to do something to change our reality. Because what we are doing now, if we don't change our vision about who we are, we're not going to change anything around us. If we don't change the view of how we relate with each other, we don't going to change the world. And we just now is so important because we don't have more time to speak more about it. We need to act on this. We don't have more time. We have a very big problems in environment, in our society, and in violence. So yoga is not about making poses. Yoga is to make the life we are. So yoga is action that we call karma yoga. Karma yoga is action with our soul. So I would like to close this doing an exercise. I don't know if you have time. Let's do an exercise with you. In a scale of 0 to 10, how much now do you accept yourself? You can write down. And imagine all the feelings. Imagine, image. How do you accept yourself on a scale from 0 to 10, like 0? No, I don't accept myself. And 10 is, yes, I accept myself 100%. How? In this scale, you are now. You can write down. And now close your eyes and imagine yourself accepting yourself on 10, 100%, every single detail of yourself, your past, your traumas, everything that happened to you, your body, your color of your skin, your culture, your religion, your beliefs. How do you feel when you accept everything that you are? So open your eyes, and I would like to do a request to write down 3 things that you're going to start to do now to come from. If you're not in 10, come to the number you are and come to closer to the 10 to accept yourself more. 3 things, actions, we're going to start to do now. And this is what I want to give to you with this speech is I want you to hold in what you know you have inside you. Because if you can picture yourself, accepting yourself 100%, you can make it. And this is what the world needs. We need people that accepting themselves 100% and put their voice in the world and change everything. And this is what we need. So the change starts now. And we need us. And we need now. Thank you so much.
I was actually thinking there are so many superpowers sitting here. If we all come together, how would the world?
Yeah, how the world be?
Yes. I was thinking these world things. So let us all have a group photo with the speakers. That would be nice. Please.
Can we get the speakers first?
Yes.
We'll join.
पहले इनकी ले लो. Yeah. Let you host it.
Let's say
You all host it. Even though you were in your voice, it's okay. Because you want to come up with the word.
Wait करो भाई.
thank you. A little bit more closer. There we go.
तू भी ले ले. फ्रंट में आना.
Sorry, are you still filming? About the MC?
Yeah. All of us will come.
No, just you go first. And then
I'm privileged.
See how you're evolving, Sam, just by being here? Yes. You're going to go home on Monday and annoy Kintla yet less.
Well, if we all come together,
So let's
we can all
everybody
annoy.
Come on.
Come on, everybody.
Come on, Winky. Come.
what is your name?
ऊपर आना ये वीडियो पे शॉट ले लो. पीछे से लियो कोई बात नहीं. आ जाएगा भाई, आ जाएगा. कहीं नहीं आनी है फोटो. हाँ तो फोटो टीवी पे फटाफट से ले लेगा. ये बहुत अच्छी क्वालिटी देगा. 90 नहीं है. बहुत बात.
But very much like to talk about the program.
Oh, yeah, forwards for that light.
I'll talk more about the closet.
आगे मतलब देखिए ना.
So what I do is
Sam, you can come.
You don't want the glare off.
पूरा लियो. निकल वैसे नहीं.
Can you go back? Maybe you go back. Yes. Thank you.
It's okay.
I wasn't in the class.
That's okay. You're just so connected to memories. Doesn't matter. These are going to last a lifetime. Memories, yes.
Ready?
Why don't you sneak out a picture?
There you go. You're on.
Yeah.
Wait, nope.
No, he's you should take it. भैया मेरे फोन से lay down. You can come here.
Practice that yoga that Kintla wants you to do.
So one more second.
Like yoga. It is. Take your chance. Breathe and smile.
Not bad.
No, it's okay. Sam's taking And breathe out. Exhale, belly in.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I don't think I have one.
Just get out your street cred.
That's fantastic.
Oh no, something bad happened. You need me right now? Okay.
Every once in a while, she'll take their email off.
Okay, let me see, because I've got so many.
Forgiveness project, which is amazing.
Excellent, how are you doing? How was your report about the event you looked at? It was
Your sisters 2 countries away doing parallel work, like-minded representation. One of my favorite was
Yeah, so let's
I feel like I went to it.
I'm so
so those 2 were just panels. I've got it. I'm just assuming there was more. So I do make this. My seat on Friday. So I just realized I just got back to all right, my packets are on. I teach just to go along and so now I've gone and I can so a road goes from mindfulness, exercise.
2015. Empowering women. That's what we're
So I started writing practice there, and then we did our marriage. I'm actually going to try we still live 10 minutes apart. We still have our practices there, and we're still in the practice. So I just quite like it. I mean, it's been amazing. Cross culturally, interculturally, I would actually and then there's so many events. They all basically invited, their families invited. She was the one who got Sunday till Thursday, and then they come home together. Yes, exactly. So I'm alive, right? So in a nutshell, this was 15 years ago, sorry, I'm still my business is amazing. So anyway, so then I came back with my friends, I was Sumantra, and years later I realised they diagnosed me with hepatitis C. I got over that, it's fine. But we went to work again, all that stuff.
Sema Dasma.
Yes, I have. I'm seeing her on Friday. Yes, thank you. And so, I have a deep word, 22 Charles translator. So for me, I'm so excited for him because he's having his top surgery. He's doing when I get back to the UK, and everything I do, one of the biggest
There's nothing in there, and it's all.
Because this change happened only sometime post last time I checked was still showing the number. Yeah, that's right. When I came in, I just checked. Yes, that's supposed to be here.
Okay.
Here.
So
you don't have the representations? No, I came for yours. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So basically, I think I don't have a presentation.
And Noga? This is in Israel.
Oh, great.
I work with financial institutions in bringing in involvement on social issues.
Super. Yeah. So, part of this data.
Yes.
So, our main work is this data.
Very good. So I would love to catch up and see what we can we have.
Incidentally, there's the other area which is the water. So one of my other companies is looking at some kind of institutionalized. So there's a water and technology.
Are you Catholic? No.
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm looking at the Azul scientific innovation. He's looking at the
What is the topic of your?
Oh, yes. So this one's on entrepreneurship consulting.
Yes, exactly.
Is that the one that you all wanted?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
then you're the great place. I'm Erik.
This has been developed for the last 8 years.
Nice to meet you.
Madura.
Very busy. Basically,
So you're all here?
So it's about like sustainable.
Exactly. So the topic is specifically entrepreneurship, business, and investment with the goals of social development. I'm focusing on the entrepreneurship part. He and Sumantra will be focusing on the investment, equity, but all around social development. So,
And you are from?
I'm from Nexus, so it's a innovation and incubator hub here at the American Center. I'm from University of Texas. We have a commercialization group. Very good question. Well, yes and no. It's within the university, but actually
part of a network called Visual Iris. With Visual Iris. With video? Amazing.
So visual is universities
outside the university.
And there are some more bodies. The same
So we're in the same
ESG.
we're in the same spot.
So
there's another department that does
We
it.
have to do in Israel.
They are a little kind of hybrid.
We are now establishing one of the
with video or without video?
on the data now visual Iris advisors around the world. So we join visual
And try to tie those together because usually there's academia and then there's industry.
You still there?
That's what I work on. So.
Helping Indian innovations too.
Yeah, it was the
So this is
I don't know how we really started it.
And also I think
but it's not about
although I think these announcements was there for the manufacturing. This whole murder thing.
It's already happening. Yeah, we are very much into now what they did is until nuclear emerges, they will they have like they have the Irish products still, the visual products still until the end of this year.
So far it's okay. They say June is going to be very
They will like 3 days one combination, so we can
bit.
So they did some work here, which is
as well.
I don't think too many
text fix, but it takes space.
I have to tell you, I actually once went to Texas to buy a company, Texas based consulting company. But anyway, the experience for me, they took me to conference negotiation.
How much of that is
United Nations.
I think one of the interesting things is trying to show me is making it simpler
ruling
on one side, but it should be there.
And it's very good. They took me to the
Really? It's in Houston, isn't it?
It was
what we'll do is in case I like to travel there.
Absolutely, that's definitely part of it.
They would be definitely aligned with that.
Well,
I think
we have
sometimes,
very
Texans are very proud of being Texans. Sometimes they like to put the image on a little bit more, right?
But you know, I really felt that. The deal. I bought the
That's the most
company.
important thing, right?
I bought the company. At the price that I
So it's a tough Scandinavian woman coming in, showing what they've done. And you're going to say, look,
Oh my goodness, that is one of my
you're going to come in and say, look, I'm from Finland, everybody turns their ear, and you're looking at the stereotypes back and down, right?
Nice guys.
I think what we need to say
Back in 80s, we had this TV show called Dallas. Yeah, with J.R. Ewing, the guys with the hats.
exactly it's happening. It's looking at the
It's funny because whenever I go around the world,
in a holistic way.
And then they go down. This TV show. Texans sometimes like to promote the stereotypes, right? Yes, we all walk around. We got our thing there and a hat.
And you know,
I mean, taking it a bit to a different
Where was it you cut to?
I'm going to use exactly the crowd that I'm telling me that don't like the way it's not the profession I'm trying to
20 guns and now I fight different kind of animally
The long ones? Absolutely, yes, that's right. It's not like I said, we're, and depending on who I talk to, I'll have a more technical than less technical.
But I have to say, I love the beer and the beef steak and the steak.
Steak were pretty good.
The real barbecue kind of like.
Absolutely. Texas has a big, I'm from originally, which is north of Texas, which is very stereotypical Texas. Cows and windmill and the truck pickup trucks. There's a restaurant that's very famous in Amarillo called the Big Texas Steakhouse. And in this steak, you come in, and basically it's about 270 tons. So that was 5.5 pounds. It's like 2.5 kilos of steak. And if you order that, you get a small salad, and you get a bowl, and you get one drink. If you finish it in 1 hour, it is free. So everybody comes and says, okay, I'm going to try this, right? And of course, very few people do, but it's a very Texas thing, right? Have as much meat as you can, stuff it in, and if you get it for an hour, totally free. And when you bring it out, they announce it to the whole restaurant and say, look, somebody else is trying. And you get all these, big like American football players, things like that. But it's interesting to see who can finish and who cannot. It's not about the size of the people. It's, I think it's kind of gross, right? 2.5 kilos of beef is a lot. That's crazy. But that's a very Texas thing. That restaurant doesn't have that's right.
Did you say you must be missing?
No, not really. I mean, again, politically, Texas is very important. I'm from Austin now, which is very different from the rest of Texas. So it's much greener, ecologically wise, and physically. It's much more, it's much more high tech. It's much more universities there. It's much more business. So Austin. But when I go back to my old town neighborhood, it's okay to visit, but I'm not going to be living there.
That is very good.
Exactly. If I go back to Amarillo, then I wear my boots, I can wear my hat, you know, and
they stay around the neck.
the bolo. So there are certain things. I don't, of course, I don't many people do that. And when we had some groups come from India, and when they did, the first thing they said, "Well, I want to go shoot." So we took them to a shooting range, and they got to shoot with pistols and their shotguns and all this kind of things. So we'll bring them to a shooting range and like this.
I have to say that in rodeos, skills are
rodeos are special.
एक बार उसे रिमाइंड कर दे कि ये प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, ठीक है?
Champions in the United States. Obviously, it's a really big, after the bull riding and the riding and all that, it's pretty interesting. So are you all involved in entrepreneurship? Do you have your own companies? Ayurvedic?
Basically, gynecologist, doing holistic healing, own a hospital, and injured dog.
That's fantastic.
So we are doing herbal gardening and supporting farmers.
Supporting farmers, excellent.
And working for underprivileged women for reproductive health.
Wonderful. That's a wonderful thing. Fantastic.
So this thing is
I'll be willing to talk about it, and I'd love to hear some of your questions. And I'm going to give an overview of what I see as an incubator and how we do sort of social development. I really want to make sure that I kind of ask you to make sure that we know.
Last 25 years. Are you the one? No. I'm from the one this way. I should at least some of them train the cleaners.
That's how you start getting the laundry.
Yeah, all of the notes.
What do you want under your name?
Oh, what do you want in my name? Oh, that's five, okay. Sorry, go ahead.
So it's management consulting and private equity. But helping companies, solving their problems, helping them to rent.
But private equity are in existing companies that are able to
Because we're actually
But we have also investment and they go back to the they go back to their.
It's happening in Sweden, Germany. It's
their.
It's quite
they go back to.
No, basically we allocate media time on the big project to make so for the companies that don't have the budget to make the advertising that they should be doing, so they get the media time as a voucher, and then we take equity.
We have something like this in India.
The
Times of India group does that.
Yeah,
It's called brand capital. Right?
Yeah, we call it media for equity.
So, and that's interesting because, and I believe it's a successful model right now.
It is. You know, I call it the Zalando paradox. That the new disruptive companies, they actually need the traditional media in order to gain the audience. Attention.
So you all give a certain amount of media some exposure, and you say, hey, for whatever the valuation is.
102 million, 100,000, 2 million euros. They can use it as they wish. We don't actually we are not marketing.
You don't do the content, so you say.
We do the deals. Now we have been doing this for 2 years. We have almost 20 companies in the portfolio. And this I do in addition to my normal work. So I'm not a divided personality. Multitasker. I mean, people ask me, like, what do you do? I'm like,
everything.
I'm like, I don't know, these people. I don't know. But it's, I mean, Finland is a small country, so basically,
and then the next time is
and it's all related.
The Arabic
It's okay.
But you know, Indian person who says she's a hospital worker, so I guess you have a lot of private hospitals.
Do you need any presentation?
I don't know. Okay.
For the people that are already sick,
So you don't have
people that are
okay.
They will want hospitalization.
I see. Where is your
for you and for other people? No.
Are you here for the entrepreneurship and the social development?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's what we want to make sure, because there was a little confusion in the beginning. We want to make sure.
So thanks for starting late. So
That's right.
you.
That's right. I'm Erik, by the way. How you doing?
Hi, Tamara.
Hey, please meet.
Likewise. Erik Azulay.
Yes. Are you based in
No, third day ever in India, but
the jet lag be okay? You won't be falling asleep.
yesterday was worse. No, I was in India on goal number 6. Sanitation hall. The wash sector. Trying to figure out ways to do some innovative finances.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. May I have your attention, please? So welcome to the second session of this wonderful morning at Women's Entrepreneurs. We have the future of business, entrepreneurship, and investing aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. The speakers, welcome the speakers on the stage with a big round of applause, Erik Azulay and Sumantra. So we have, what's the time?
9:45.
No, is it 9:45? It's 10:15. So starting, we wind up at 11:15. We've got 1 hour.
Oh, we do have an hour. Okay, I thought maybe we'd have to take it away there. That's okay. Did you have a little clicker, or do I just say manually next slide? Do I need this, or is this, can everybody hear? Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here at the Women's Empowerment Forum. My name is Erik Azulay, as you mentioned. I'm with the University of Texas, and right now I'm just recently moved to India to head up Nexus, which is a innovation hub and a incubator here at the American Center in Delhi. We're focusing on. Let me tell you about who we are and what we're doing here, and then I'll talk about specifically about social development, social impact. So, the University of Texas, if you all don't know, is one of the largest universities in the United States. Just some statistics, it's one of the largest sponsored research universities, about $1.2 billion in the last 2 years in sponsored research. Number 1 in biotech patents, number 1 in energy research. Assuming from Texas, everybody thinks it's oil and gas, which is true. But we're also the number 1 leader in wind in the United States, which is very surprising. And I think we're like number 2 in Texas, but we're in California with solar. So UT does a lot of research also in biomass, but renewable energy is a big thing in Texas. Number 1 in engineering and computers, and anyways, big university. We can talk to you. I'll be happy to talk about the University of Texas for an hour if you'd like, but that's not what I'm here for. I just want to give you a little bit of context of who we are, what we're bringing, and how we work with entrepreneurship. Our specific group that inside the University of Texas is called the IC2 Institute. We talk about innovation, capital, and creativity. And what we do is we go around the world and help companies and help governments and help the region kind of be big commercialization, technology commercialization, help create wealth and economic development through entrepreneurship. So Austin, as you may know, is one of the top centers for entrepreneurship in the United States right now. Many countries and many regions come to us and say, tell us what you know, how can we do the same thing? There's really no magic bullet for this, but there are several lessons learned. And so we go around the country and around the world, teaching entrepreneurship, teaching the practical aspects of bringing technologies into the market, helping for social development and economic growth. As you can see, we've been in about 27 countries around the world. Previously myself, I've done it in Mexico, India, South Korea, and recently I just came back from 2 years in Kazakhstan. So, yes? Sure.
Please use the mic, it's not getting
Yes.
No, it's not getting
It's not loud enough. I have a request to stand because the projectile light is coming on you and
oh, is it?
the recording is getting...
How's this?
Sorry to
Okay.
hear. That's better.
Okay. So that's what our group IC Square does, and we're hoping to now work with this in India and specifically New Delhi. So if you can take the next slide. So Nexus. So Nexus is a collaboration between the University of Texas and the U.S. State Department. And what we are here to do is create an innovation hub, an incubation center in New Delhi. And the innovation hub is really to reach out to the ecosystem of startups and innovation here in New Delhi, to work with them and to create a more productive ecosystem. What we've seen and what we've been told and what we've kind of validated is that here in New Delhi and in many places in India, there are all the components for an innovation ecosystem for helping startups. You have institutes, you have a growing group of funders, private equities, and VCs and angels. You have a massive amount of talent from universities. You have great entrepreneurs. But all of these people and all these components are working in a fragmented way, and they're not working together. So that is kind of what we are hoping to do as Hub. The Hub for Nexus is to bring all these players together and have them start working in concert. Part of that is this incubator, and we'll be helping startups bring their ideas and their teams and their projects into the market. Some of those will be social impact, and that's what I'm here to talk to you guys about today. Let me go ahead and... Yes, that's fine. So to start this conversation and to talk about the topic of our group here, I really wanted to really start it with 3 questions. And this is kind of to give you my perspective, and then to hear from what y'all's perspective is. Really, there's the 3 questions that I wanted to ask. Is first of all, how does social impact businesses differ from what we call regular businesses? The second one is, can entrepreneurship make a difference? And the third one, which may seem a bit strange, but third and kind of broad, is what is entrepreneurship? So let me go quickly through these, and I'd love to get your questions at the end and start this discussion on how, in general, entrepreneurship can focus on social development and social impact. Give me the first question, please. So how does a social impact business differ from a regular business? From an incubator point of view, and from when we talk about investing and social impact, the question for me, the answer may surprise you, is that it shouldn't. It doesn't differ. From a business point of view, a business is a business. The fundamentals are the same. You have customers, you have an unmet need, and that you're meeting that need. In return, you're getting something in return. So whether that's money, whether that's services, whether that's in kind, but you're meeting a need, and that need is being helpful. And that is the same whether it's luxury services or whether it's a bottom of the pyramid. So for us, when we talk with social impact companies, and they're coming to us in the incubator in India or anywhere around the world, we say that's fantastic. We're glad to see this. But you have to have a sustainable business model. You have to be able to make sure that you can continue on after the funding is gone. And why is that? Because change is constant. Governments, especially lately, come and go. Priorities change. Policies change. Funding levels change. And if you are working on a project that you've got a fantastic funds for, and you're putting that process in a village or working with a group, and then that funding goes away, and if you're only dependent on that, your impact is gone. And we've seen this quite a lot, unfortunately. Social impact in itself, or having an impact on the bottom of the pyramid, or working with minorities or underrepresented communities, this is not a new thing. Right? We've been doing this in India and in many countries for many, many years. Why haven't some of these problems? So what we found, again, is that because they have been focusing, that people have great ideas, great heart, they're passionate teams, but they may not know the business aspect, and they're not treating it as a business. And so when the funding goes away, the program goes away. I can give a specific example that was told to me here in India a couple of weeks ago, was a wonderful project to work in a rural village without electricity for water filtration and waste management. They got some great funding, the equipment was installed, everything was fantastic, the village had access to clean, drinkable water and sanitation, and that was it. After, I believe it was about a year, the main filter had now been clogged and was ready to be changed. There was no money for that. There was no maintenance being provided. The villagers, either through lack of expertise or maybe lack of expectation, says this is something we can't do and we're not willing to do. We don't have the funds for this. And so, after about 4 or 5 months, the system itself degrades. And you have a very large piece of equipment that's a piece of junk. And the impact is gone. If we had started, whoever that organization was, I can't remember the name of it, if they had thought about it from a business perspective and included in their in their grant, in working with this company, village, doesn't have to, could be a small fee that is applicable for that area, that's employable. It could be training and doing the maintenance themselves. It could be providing services in return for a filter every 6 months. Those kind of things are worked out. But by just providing that and not thinking as a business how to sustainability, then the impact is lost, and what a huge opportunity to make a great difference is lost as well. So that's what we always look at when we talk about sustainability, and to make sure that there's a business side. This does not mean that you're squeezing every penny you can get or rupee you get from the population. That's not what it's about. That's what I want to second thing. Where do the profits go? That is the difference I see in a social enterprise. For a regular company, you're maximizing your rent, you maximize your profit for your shareholders and for your dividends or for yourself. For social enterprises, you're investing that back in the business to ensure that it can be sustainable after that funding goes away. Does that make sense? That's kind of what we look at every day from an incubator. We see wonderful ideas solving a lot of unmet problems. But unless we see the sustainability aspect of that, we feel the impact, the opportunity is lost to create an even bigger impact, to maximize the impact. We think it's a real shame. So going on to the next one, the second question is, can entrepreneurship make a difference? We hear this a lot as well. People come to us and say, look, especially with the CSR, the corporate social responsibility aspects and obligations in India, we have multinational corporations, we have Indian corporations, governments, funds. These are kind of the organizations that are focused on with CSR, good social impact. So people come to me and say, bearing that in mind, how does entrepreneurship make a difference? How can a small startup make a difference on social development and social impact? And for me, my answer, and I'm reminded of Margaret Mead's quote, is that never doubt that a small and committed group of people can make a difference in the world. In fact, it's the only one that has. And for me, obviously I'm a little biased because I'm coming from the entrepreneurship side, is that they are the ones that make the difference. In fact, probably 90% of the time, they're the only ones that make the difference. These entrepreneurs, the people like yourselves out there on a day-to-day, seeing these problems, seeing the impact, and recognizing the solution that can be done, you are the ones that are making the difference. Now, those differences can be leveraged, of course, by the multinationals. You have the solution, and they can provide the time, the expertise, and the finances to then maximize it. That's wonderful. But the solution is coming from y'all, and that's entrepreneurs. We see this, talk about the grand challenges. It's a very popular method now. Large companies post their problems, saying, here, we need for sanitation, for toilets, for whatever the case may be. And then they're asking for bids and solutions from the entrepreneurs. These companies themselves are not doing that. And that's a great thing. That's a wonderful leveraging of the two. And that's what we look at again, is saying, how do we leverage the large companies' expertise, resources, but the ideas and the entrepreneurship and the team that's going to be implementing it, that's the key to doing this. And that's what we focus on. And finally, if you take a look at the kind of the 10,000-meter view, multinational corporations didn't spring up by themselves. All of these corporations started as a committed team or an individual that saw a problem, finally had a solution, and they put it into place. And then they grew because that problem was faced by many people, and they had a great business model, they were able to grow, and larger. That's wonderful. But entrepreneurship is where it started. So all of these large companies, they started as entrepreneurs. And without having that ecosystem, that support, maybe they wouldn't have gone to where they are. So going back to the main question is, can entrepreneurship make a difference on social impact, on social responsibility? I say that is the driving factor. I don't know, I've only been here in India for 2 months. I've been working in India for the last 10 years, but I've only lived here for the last 2 months. So I don't know all the statistics off the top of my head. But in the United States, I'm sure you're very much aware that, of course, you hear about the GEs, the Microsofts, the Googles, but it's the vast majority of jobs are created by the small and medium enterprises. This is the entrepreneurs. That is the actual driving factor. And so in India, and I've heard many people come to me saying, innovation startups are really, really down now in India. It's going through kind of a slump. It's actually not true. Yes, you hear all the sexy names. You hear about Zomato, you hear about Flipkart, and they've gone through some bad evaluations. But that's not. And those are great. Those are wonderful, and I have nothing against them. But that's not where all the innovation, that's not where the social impact is. Those are the small companies that are having 3 to 5 people that are creating the problems, that are meeting this unmet solutions on a day-to-day basis. So for me, again, entrepreneurship is the driver that is helping the social development. And the last question. What is entrepreneurship? And I would say this the last because it's not about becoming wealthy and becoming the huge entrepreneur and having an IPO and a valuation of $4 billion. And that's what grabs the newspaper headlines, and that's okay. But if you meet an entrepreneur and says, I'm here to make money quickly, that's not the entrepreneur. If you take a look and see the people that have been successful and kind of count how many hours they put into that, entrepreneurship is 24/7. You don't, it's a passion. You don't have a day off. You have that company and all that's on your shoulders. If you divide that out, you'll find out that those companies that were successful, they're probably working for less than minimum wage for all that. So entrepreneurship, what is it? It's about you or a small team that is passionate about something. You see an unmet problem, a need, an unmet need or a problem, and you believe, you know what? I can do better. I have a solution for that. And I bet that problem is not just for me, but many people have this problem. And this problem, I think they're willing to pay for it in some way. And you create a job, and you create a position, and you start that, and that has that social impact because you're that close to the customer. That's what entrepreneurship is. And that's why I am so passionate about it myself. I've created several companies myself. That's why I moved with my family to India, because in India, there are a lot of unmet opportunities, should we say. Can we go to the next one? India, of course, is flourishing on innovation. Social unmet problems and needs on the social impact. Well, let's say there's a lot of opportunity. You're probably more familiar with statistics than I am. About there's 300 million people in India that live off the grid. They don't have access to reliable electricity. 4 of the 10 top polluted cities in the world are in India. On one hand, that's not a great thing, right? On the second hand, that's a wonderful opportunity. 70% of urban sewage untreated. Flipped on that is the tools that can be used to create some of these problems. 70% of internet user base of over 400 million. E-commerce expected to grow by 2020 to $119 billion. And then one of the amazing ones to me is cell phone penetration of 88%. That's over 1.2 billion. That's crazy. Those kind of opportunities that exist to match those economic opportunities with the problems that we have, I think is unparalleled, is unique and unique. And these are very fertile grounds for finding entrepreneurship, to find solutions to those problems. Innovation and entrepreneurship is a risky business in India and around the world. But the more people that are putting their minds to it and trying to find those solutions, and then we can support through our ecosystem, and that's why I came here for Nexus, providing them the business support and having them look at it in a different way, that they can create sustainable impact, that's what drives them. And that's what I think is the most important. So, to wrap up, next slide, please. You need a valuable business model. The idea is great, your team is great, you're passionate, but keep in mind that if you want to have the sustained impact, you have to have a sustained business model so that you're not dependent on the funding that may change not only first. Social impact goals are fantastic, but they don't change the difference of having a business, of knowing your customer, and providing a solution to a problem that is important to them. And it's not about the profits. For social impact, it's about taking that money so that you can have a rainy day fund or expand your business, so that when that funding drops from foundations, from the government, from wherever the funding are, you are able to continue your business and help those people and create that social impact, regardless of the funding and the subsidies that you get from the organizations. And I think that may be it. So again, I'm with Nexus, and we're helping with the startups. Happy to talk to you about any or all of these things. I focus on a small part of this conference, specifically on the entrepreneurship, but I'd love to be able to talk to you about it, and this is what I'm passionate about myself. So thank you for listening to your patience.
Thank you, Erik, and very good morning, everyone. A very auspicious fresh morning. It's a very festive day today in India, those who follow Buddhism and otherwise. And I'm also coming quite fresh from a very interesting and engaging conversation we had at Bombay Stock Exchange recently to launch a program called InGen, Comprehensive Gender Lens Integration Project. It's new as a project, so just a quick intro. This is an initiative from Federal Capital, the company that I represent. Its social development arm called Encircle, Encircle. So Encircle basically is an independent think tank which is working with other private and public actors in evolving new pathways to implementing some of the large-scale solutions to a few development sector challenges. While we launched it only like now, just about last week, but the idea of genderless integration has been, incubating for about 2 years now. It kind of began and then kind of became an integral part of our wider work in what you call the facilitation of environment, social, and governance issues, or the extra financial issues in the mainstream. Many of you in the room would know that ESG, environment, social governance, as a discipline has grown significantly, in terms of relevance from particularly the institutional investors and asset owners, who now include this in their investment decision making. And it has grown, very significant in size as well. So globally, something like a $65 trillion of assets under management are currently under some kind of an ESG framework or set of principles. In our conversation in the last few years with our supporters and partners, UNEPFI, PRI, Sustainable Investment Fora globally, Bloomberg, Yes Bank, Bombay Stock Exchange, recently UN Women, gender lens as a integral part of this has grown in our conversation. And when our team at Encircle was looking at reorganizing and refocusing its verticals, they were quite excited about the fact that let's kind of build something around it, and that's why InGen, which was launched now. Even as we look around, we notice a change. Some of it is seen in India, more in some parts of the world. We see that change, that paradigm shift in development thinking, which is now recognizing the central importance of business in this whole development agenda, and vice versa. And at least I would say that at this point in time, the corporate leaders, there's an understanding of the role that these extra financial, the social, environmental risks and opportunities that play a role in their core operations. This could be for various reasons. This could be for purely from a conceptual standpoint, or it could be from a material need standpoint. It could be that the company is operating in diverse multinational settings, which is making it take these extra financials into consideration. It could be a senior level or top level, board level understanding, or let's say thinking, and sometimes it could be the shareholder or stakeholder pressure. Any which way you look at it, as businesses expand, they've clearly understood the idea that and also the migration to the developing world. I guess corporates see that opportunity, that it is not just about obtaining the low-cost input. It could also benefit from investing in people, investing in their well-being, investing in their training, investing in sustainable infrastructure. Providing, if not improving, at least maintaining the natural environment. So therefore, with this omnipresent, factor of business economic activity, it has to be on this whole. It has to be on the table when it comes to sustainability and genderless integration dialogue. So that it therefore will play a very major role in as we kind of we advance the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals, and then transform them into that. So I think business. The agenda itself, the development agenda itself, you look at it, one can look at it like a pyramid, At the top possibly would be the overarching goal of wider prosperity, equal distribution. Maybe that could be the top there. The next one could be seen, the next slab could be seen as the human factor, the human needs, the social needs factor could be the second one, very closely related to the top, The third slab could be the natural and economic resources, the resources slab. But the bottom of the pyramid, the base, is about enablers. It's about
It's the foundation on which all the others stand. If that foundation of enablers is weak, I guess the edifice can fall. Actually, it can collapse. So I guess the way I see the role of business, etc., and working with the agenda of SDG is that focusing it on primarily inclusive growth, access, and moving from rhetoric to real resource providing. I think that's where the opportunity is, and that's where I guess we can concentrate our discussion. Many of you know that the Sustainable Development Goals, 17 goals, are comprehensive. But even if you were to kind of zero in on maybe 3 or 4 of them in the context of our conversation today, or for that matter even up to 5, which is, let's say, the gender equality, or which kind of looks at issues around that, even those have several elements in them. And while it is very difficult to kind of talk about one and not about the other, I think what we could, as a discussion point here right now, we could possibly consider as to, what is it that is required right now that which will ensure women's full and active participation, their opportunities in leadership in economic and public space. That's, I think, one. The second is that what changes we need to give equal rights to access to natural resources, access to economic resources, finance, property, energy. What about the new opportunities in technology and finance? How do you build that? I guess that is one area. Most of you would have heard that data from McKinsey, which is sometimes disputed, and people talk about the calculations and all that. But any which way, I guess for an economy like India to have just 19% contribution from women, I think is something that we can do. I think work on and make it much better. And it's an opportunity, I guess. It's these economies like India where a better genderless integration will have possibly the maximum impact. We spoke about the businesses, and I think Erik covered some about the entrepreneurship. So I guess, yes, entrepreneurship is being seen as a mechanism which can nudge or maybe sometimes even override the policy climate in economic inclusion, which has been proven in certain countries. So I guess although a lot of things have been done, I think the global job crisis still stares at us. And I think the ILO data puts it at about 200 million. Is that correct? That's the data right now, right? That's the current unemployment number. And we would soon have possibly between now and 2030, we'll have another 500 million, young women and men joining the workforce. So we need those new jobs more and more. So I guess entrepreneurship, with its basic, advantage of it, it can innovate. It can break down barriers. It can create new models which can probably provide new solutions or maybe may provide a very new way of looking at tackling some of these long-standing problems that we've had. So effectively, entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs can play a huge role in advancing SDGs. I mean, particularly the ones that I mentioned on inclusive growth and a wider prosperity. So any economic activity in entrepreneurship is great. I guess it does address a few of them anyway. But I guess, like Erik pointed out, the social enterprise, or let's say the ventures that end up having a superior impact on social or environment, I guess very welcome, and that is increasing as a discipline. I'm sure most of you would have heard about the term impact investing, which J.P. Morgan, I think started with that and projected that it could have a potential to become a $26 billion opportunity globally. And I think now there are the mainstream other players very actively engaged in that. So there is a ecosystem being created which is looking at that double or triple impact kind of venture. So with this, just a few thoughts here. I think so we could look at as to what next then. I guess the first thing, of course, is the policy has to take the lead role. I think the policy which can play a central role in providing the right signals, create that framework, institutional and otherwise, those regulatory institutional frameworks that are created. then they also influence the other actors, so that I think they will have to be there. And also, they may then therefore play a major role in correcting any distortion which may be there in both wider sustainability as well as specific to gender lens. I think if there are such distortion in the system itself, I think they can play a major role in that. I guess also I think as we start work, I mean in Gen we are starting that work of analyzing policy. I think the opportunity that we see here is to identify gaps, if any. Are there really evidences of, putting gender lens or sustainability at the center when you are looking at public policy, when you're looking at skill development, when you're looking at climate change, when you're looking at energy policy? Are those lenses in place already? I think those are the things that we need to see in policy. Because in policy context, I think advancing this whole broader environment, social governance and gender lens is, to my mind, I guess it is not just about giving a voice. It is not about, removing a few barriers here and there. I think it's about new measures that are required to bring in a transformation in this institution and structures which probably have caused those disparities anyway. So I think that there's a huge opportunity, and I guess we're kickstarting, with some partners, some serious efforts in that area. On the corporate side, like I mentioned to you, there's an awareness, and some of it is coming out quite. So all of you will be familiar with this fearless girl who is staring at the Wall Street bull, which is set up by State Street Advisors, a leading asset manager. And it's a call to the corporate boards for promoting gender diversity at the board level. Similarly, you've got Pax World and Elevate Global Equity Fund, which is looking at global equities with a gender lens perspective. There's a book by Wiley Finance earlier this year called Gender Lens Investing, which is nudging the corporates to include the best practices right from their own structures, the markets that they create, etc. So I think there is something happening there. But what is to be seen is that are corporates moving from regulatory compliance and understanding the value in this, both again for sustainability as well as a gender lens perspective. Do they do it just because they've been told by either the regulator or the stakeholder who is wielding the purse, or would not give finance if are they seeing it, the intrinsic value in moving the needle and using it as an intrinsic part of their corporate behavior? I guess those are a few things. In the dialogue that we had, a few very interesting things came up. That I guess the intentions right. I guess in spite of the fact that there are intentions, I guess in the lack of awareness of the research which unbiases these decision making, I guess people are still continuing with some archaic, so-called women-friendly policies, which definitely need a redesign. I think that's an opportunity. Some very interesting things came up in the discussion, particularly around the hiring of CFO and CTO, the Chief Financial Officer and Chief Technology Officer. So a lot of them were suggesting that, by default, when it comes to asking for CVs from the HR department, suppose you get 10, so 10 out of 10 will be made for these positions. It's not that there's no data, it's the mindset. So I guess there is a design intervention needed in terms of getting out these biases that we have, so those things. And to assist them, I guess the corporate leaders will need more data. They would need tools which will enable them to not only self-assess but also benchmark themselves as to how they are placed in the peer group. So I guess we have now subject matter expertise and I think very sophisticated big data and all that, which can give them the right data points to take a decision. I don't know if you know, so Bloomberg launched a gender equality index, I guess last year, I guess. So this is again a call from primarily the investors. I mean, Calpers is doing it, Boston Common Asset is doing it. So it was called from the investors, and a very sophisticated index is created, which is right now looking at 26 class-leading financial services companies, which are doing the best job in this. Hopefully, I think this space will see more companies coming on board this index, and I think the index itself will have replication elsewhere. I think so. tools, corporates, policy. I guess important part is this about access, which I think I brought up earlier. And we need access in everything. We need access to energy, access to education, sustainable infrastructure, and finance, which is my favorite. So I think when it comes to finance, I guess we know that the benefits are known. Benefits of delivering financial vehicles to women entrepreneurs, to women-owned businesses are there, and therefore the government, development institutions, and others have launched several programs. But the data speaks a little otherwise. I mean, for the 8 million entrepreneurs or 8 million women-owned businesses that you have in India, only 21% right now are seeking finance from the mainstream options. So I guess that's a little, that's an area where I think we could work better, because 21% is definitely new. And then there are, like I said, there are alternative resources too. This is, I mean, development and other, but I think there is now, you can look at the angel investors, asset-based finance, hybrid finance. You know, we've got a lot of other ways of looking at, financing your businesses. If you are in a social venture, definitely impact investing, which is gaining ground in India. Some people say that it could be about an $8 to $9 billion industry within India itself. So those looking at entrepreneurship in those sectors, I guess, are important. So I guess the important next steps for this entrepreneurship ecosystem creation would be, I guess, a major next level financial literacy drive that we need, a strong genderless inclusion at the institutional level, and we would possibly need a better linkage of this institutional outreach to reach such opportunities. I guess we need to create that atmosphere where that happens better. So very interesting data again came up from the roundtable that we had. One of the leading angel investor networks was on the table, and what they have to share was that the pitches from the women entrepreneurs from even tier 2 or tier 3 cities in India is on an upswing. I mean, they're seeing a very, very encouraging data there. So that's a good sign. And angel investors are looking at primarily the business idea and the business plans. They're quite happy about it. So I think that's a good sign. Yes Bank raised something like $250 million from IFC and ADB last 2 years. They are development institutions. They raised about $250 million. And again, very encouraging sign is that the tranches are all used up. So I think there is financing happening. So there is. I think if you have vehicles and you have the outreach, I think you can provide that. So this space can be, I think, much bigger. I think there is certain things we need to overcome. I guess one of them is about the awareness of the entrepreneurs themselves, about the opportunities that are available, not just for finance, but other areas also. So what can they access to kind of make their businesses transition from micro to small to mid, etc. So there are options available and vehicles available. They should use that. Like I said, outreach of the institutions themselves. They should find out a way as to how they can reach this audience better. And then if there are policy bottlenecks, if any, those can be removed. So I guess I'll end my thoughts there. Those were the 3 thoughts that I had primarily that we need, I think, especially coming from India, I think we need something on the policy front. We do need tools, and the corporates need to be enabled. So well-intentioned they might need help to do that. And I guess we need this whole access piece a little better. Yeah, so I'll end it there.
Thank you, all the speakers, for the wonderful session. The magnitude of knowledge we have received here is amazing. I would invite the audience to ask questions. Anyone?
Thank you for fascinating lecture. I'm interested in the issue of bringing new money. One of the main concern, I'm coming from the responsible investment arena in Israel, and what we have problem is that we are the biggest challenge is bringing the financial institutions into those investments, or in impact investing, or in entrepreneurs and VCs on a social investment. Because I think one of the things is we need to create, and it's interesting to hear from you, how do we bring new money? How do we not take money from philanthropy to impact investing? How do we not take money from old, like money that it was there anyway, we are just naming it differently. And And how do we bring new money? That's my question.
Who would like to answer it?
Sure. I can join it.
Yeah, that's it.
So one quick thought, and just a quick one actually. I think models that are emerging, and if I were to look at, let's say, currently from India's perspective, let's say when we go micro and start providing solutions at the ground with certain issues, I guess the model that we need to evolve is a blended capital approach. With each investor knowing as to what is their role in it. For example, as you know, that in India there's a new structure that is now allowed by the Alternative Investment Fund under the SEBI Act, which allows certain class of funds to take even grants. So I've been talking to some divisions. Otherwise, also there could be even government-backed funds which are looking at such solutions at micro level for infrastructure. I guess we need each class of investor. Each will come in at a different level. So we do need those who come in as a grant-making institutions, which can help, particularly in the context of our topic here, the entrepreneurship, the initial part of it, hand-holding and taking to that stage where they can then be linked to the market, the market linkage, the financial linkage, etc. To specifically answer your other part as to how do we get the new investors, we have seen a few, again coming to India, I guess one investor, as I think Erik pointed out, is the CSR pool itself, which did not exist as a formal pool earlier for many such development sector projects. We can debate whether that was good or bad in hindsight that as this bill came in. But again, today, if you look at it, I believe something like 7,000 crores is what has come in this year, which is going into development sector projects. So used better partnership, linking it to other grant-making institutions could be a very solid foundation to any entrepreneurship development programs. Again, thanks to the local, global, I guess the impact investing, especially where it is not like thematic impact, but a real impact that you can make on social and environment, I guess that is bringing in a new class of investor. I don't know if you would have heard about it. So yesterday there's a discussion in CFA Institute that should impact investing be converted into a distinct asset class. Take it away from even alternative investments. And therefore, within that impact investing, you'll have different type of investors. Some who come with only impact and focus. Don't give me returns. I will be happy with the kind of impact you make. Some could come in with a blended approach. So I guess there are new vehicles and new class of investors coming in. It's just that we need to create those vehicles. I think blended capital for countries like India, with a pool that can have different types of investors, would be, I think, a good idea.
Yeah, those were very good points, and I just want to add to those, I guess, is three things I want to say. One, about the CSR, that's absolutely right. I mean, that's whether that's being used effectively now, that's a completely different discussion. And part of using the support systems of incubators and other mechanisms to help make those more effective, that's something I'm very excited about. But the fact that CSR is there, those obligations are there, and this more focus is definitely in there, and that's a wonderful thing. The second thing is I'm seeing on the social impact of the funds, I'm seeing more money come. The traditional later start investing starting to push earlier and earlier. Because of the notoriety now of the startups and the returns they're getting, people are starting to get more and more early investing. And I've had private equity, I've had late stage VCs come to me and start talking about let's do seed, let's do pre-seed. That's great. Whether they're doing it for reasons of greening their company, so to speak, or whether it's an actual they really want to be involved, is high involved, that doesn't matter to us, right? We'll take the support from either way. But I would say that's actually, I'm seeing a tendency of new money coming in that was usually on the later stage, B or C stage, and they're becoming more and more interested in the earlier stage of entrepreneurship. So I would consider that a new type of money that's available that really wasn't available to the early stage entrepreneurship class. And finally, kind of this is a bit of a separate issue, and less on investing but more on fundraising, is we see now a blend of different vehicles that are coming up with technology, right? So we're seeing a lot more crowdsourcing that comes up. Smaller stage, of course, what we call it, hundreds of thousands of dollars, pre-seed, But I would definitely say that's something that we did not have before, and that's definitely a vehicle, especially for social impact entrepreneurs on that level. We can go in kind of democratizing fundraising and bring that money, which I think is extremely exciting. I'm also seeing now, because social entrepreneurship, social impact is such a hot topic. Another couple of mechanisms that I saw that were very interesting, like no interest loans. So if we see that's a great social impact, we like the business, we'll give you the loan. No interest if you're successful and you then reach your profitability. Sure, you pay back the loan. If you don't, hey, and you made a good effort and everything, that's okay. Those are wonderful mechanisms that don't take extra. Fantastic. So those, I think, were also kind of examples of new money. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually a healer, so energy healing and tarot card reading, or I'm a life coach, so I work on people. So helping them in stress management and not management but elimination completely. And
strong demand, always strong demand.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I have not seen any investors or any type of company coming up. I'm yet very small, so I don't think I'm reached that level. But yeah, I would definitely aim for it in the future. But there is less interest in this field. I don't see anyone taking much interest in this area. CSR is becoming big, but that is also again there are specific areas which get highlighted. Okay, we are working with the girl child, or that is very, again, that is also very if not money but fame driven. So the actual investment in people is not happening in their own employees or doing something for people in general, because we are living such stressful lives, and the spiritual quotient and emotional quotient is just funneling down to almost near zero. So we need to work to pull that up again, and somewhere that is impacting the world a lot, I feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So though we may have a lot of intelligence and a lot of money around, but happiness and peace and all these factors are missing from the equation. So how can you, knowledgeable people and powerful people, work on that? What ideas can you bring for that, and how can you help such, bring the attention to this to help people like us? Thank you.
That's a very good question, and there's two things I'd like to say. Is one, many times when you get involved in business, you do forget the human factor, and that is what I was kind of mentioning before. That's what it's all about, right? If you lose sight of your customer, who you're helping, and why you're helping, what need they have that you're meeting, then you've gotten away from your business. So in that sense, that I absolutely agree that we should be always focusing on a global level and on a specific company level. Who is my customer? What am I providing? And what needs can I meet with them? In your sense, stress, right? Or some maybe psychological kind of stress and damage they're doing. From the business side, on the investing side, there are programs for skill development, but for investing, and again, I'm taking it from the business side, it's hard to scale. Right? I'm investing in you, and I want to say, okay, how can you grow your business? I can't make two more of you. You're very successful. You do what you do. So from an investing point of view, where it's based upon your specific skills, that's hard for investors. Now, it could be investing in you as a business, and your business works, and maybe you can expand and support others and things like that. But that's where you're pitching to me as an investor. I'd say, I love your business. I love what you're doing. You've got a great customer base. Okay, you tell me, if I gave you X amount of money, what can you do to either secure that or increase that? Because the scalability is very difficult on these kind of things.
I don't think it's difficult. I can create more people like me. I can train them to replace me.
If you can, that's great. And like I said, I don't know what those skills are transferable, right? Yeah. But that's what I'm just saying, not particular, but that's what I would say to you is that, okay, that's the pitch you have to make, right? Is that, look, here is my program on creating, replicating those skills so that I have 3 more of me, and then I can franchise this, and so that the person in the other town will get just as good of their solution to it as if they can from you. So that's what I would say when you're doing investment, as specifically you have focus on to be able to say, hey, how can we scale this up? Sure. Yeah. Either one.
Another issue I feel, he said that hardly 8% of women are pitching. I think that is the figure, or 21%.
20% accessing mainstream finance.
Okay, 20% accessing, right. So somewhere I feel, I talk from my perspective, we are more emotional and more heart-centered people, though we are intelligent and we do a lot of everything, IT and all that stuff. But I find the biggest restriction for me is creating a project report that will be, lucrative to an investor. That is a big hurdle for me. So how can I overcome that?
So I guess we could take your question in two parts. One is that shouldn't corporate, in the discussion that we had just now, and we said that they definitely can invest in well-being of people, etc. Also, they should ideally adopt such practices. Are you from Delhi?
No, Mumbai.
Mumbai, okay. So, very surprising because I've worked mostly out of Mumbai and I've kind of headed foundation and I've met several institutions approaching us and the CSR kind of a platform to suggest such programs. So I guess what Erik was trying to say was business, the investor into your company, let us say, or your idea, will have to see a business plan. Or let's say, if not the whole proof, they might need some proof of concept as to how it has been tested out, what have you done so far, and has it been tested out at the largest scale. So my suggestion to you would be to build out your case to work with some of the corporates. And one suggestion is that if you want to tap into this CSR pool, most of them are now bound by the law. Okay, so the law has certain stipulations about where do you put this money. The Section 8 companies, trust, 3-year track record, and all that. So a best practice, CSR will always have those exclusion points to an idea. So my recommendation would be that you would probably create a vehicle along with a trust or an institution. Could be an education institution. A lot of people did that. After they came in that. So I guess one way to do is create a pool like that and then approach. I think you'll find better audience there. And once you do a few pilots like that, some large companies where you actually are training people off-site, on-site, you do that, I guess then you can do better math. All I can suggest is that for your team building, that you look at you can outsource these, most of it. CFOs are outsourceable today. Anybody is outsourceable, so use that in the startup model, which is quite common, is that use that facility. So it is not about a great presentation. An investor is putting in money, so he wants to see the numbers. He wants to see B2C, that your idea, how does it go to how many customers. Sometimes even willing to take a risk at the red period for some time and knows that eventually you'll break out and make profits. So I guess my thought would be that you build that business proof of concept for them. So this is how you do it.
The issue I see here is from being a healer and clairvoyant, I have to leave concentration from my stuff and have to become a financial expert or an economist to be able to work all these figures out. Don't
do that. That'll be a shame because I think so what you are good at, I think let's outsource. Let's outsource, and they're easily available. You don't need a full-time person who will be doing a good job, and you can therefore approach the investors. But like I said, first focus on projects. What can you show as to where are you working, who are you working with, what's the scale you can reach? I guess that would be very important.
Other questions or comments?
Okay, I think we are running out of time now. It's time for the next session. So I would like to.
So, can it be possible to be an entrepreneur when you have only 2-3 people in your team? And what is the main focus we should make as a beginner, and especially when we have only 1 or 2 year working experience?
So 2 questions, and I think it is pretty much Erik's domain, but I guess I'll take it first and then I'll take it. So I guess
Although, like I said, that we operate more in infrastructure, and I deal mostly with the larger, or at least a mid-sized kind of a space, much more. But it is not that we don't meet young entrepreneurs who are a very small team. Right now, there's a young guy who's just passed out barely 1 year out of his, just completed CA in just about 1 year. And he's looking at a very, very ambitious aggregator model, very, just about a 3-member team. They are building that up. But that doesn't mean they'll be able to deliver that team. The idea of them is right now to take that pitch to the investor. They've had a proof of concept. They've got a few corporate partnerships. Now they're moving for the first round of funding, and then they hope to build out the team with the stage 2 and stage 3. So it's possible, to answer your question. Depends on what sector you are in. It is highly tech dominated, so it can take that advantage. But if you are in something... Sorry, I know. This gentleman had a last minute question. No problem. Erik, you want to add something?
No, I'm sorry. No. Sorry. We have very strict on timing. The ambassador is sitting next to you.
Well, that's fine. Yeah.
So have you heard about it?
If anybody has any questions, want to ask me personally?
Yeah, personally they can go there. Yeah. No, next session starting. Start.
Sure. I heard that you were Sure, yeah, of course.
We are into social enterprise. Please come.
Let me do it just a second. Very nice.
We love to hear those things. Right? Please, send me some emails and we'll talk about where you're based out. In Bombay. Okay. So like I said, we're in Delhi. Oh, right. Sure, no, absolutely. We've seen many of those, right? Absolutely. Talk to me, we'll have to do it and make it, see where we can connect parties. Are you in the session? Sure. Oh, absolutely, of course. I'm sorry. I thought I gave you. That's great. Happy to talk to you. Thank you. Help.
That's me?
Sure, absolutely. That's cute. I like that.
That's a new venture we have started recently, and it's an online product catalog. It's actually an online mall where you can design your own product catalog.
Oh, neat, right? Okay.
So please sign up.
Yeah, no, okay. I'll take a look at it. Absolutely.
Please.
Well, thanks, Azulay. I appreciate it. I'll take a look.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, welcome to this session. This is our third session for today, and I would first of all apologize for the delay. The session now will be the complete representation by the Embassy of the Republic of Armenia. I would request Ms. Ambassador to please come forward and the speaker.
I will just say a few words.
So I will just give the mic over to you. Please put your hands together for them.
Good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, dear students. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for invitation and opportunity to address today to this forum. Despite the hardships many women endure daily, since the second half of the 20th century, the world has seen a tremendous gain for women in three major areas: education, rights, and leadership. This has driven the change with accelerating gender equality, which despite its global advancement is still one of the most complex issues in business today. Despite years of discussion and much progress on the topic, there is still much work to do. Across geographies, and regrettably I have to admit that Armenia is not an exception, disparities between men and women still persist in form of pay gaps, uneven opportunities for advancement, and imbalanced representation in important decision making. And I hope that this conference will strengthen the confidence of women to push for the higher level jobs and pay they deserve. I do believe that the world will be a better place when women have the power to lead. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I have an honor to introduce you to today's speaker, my compatriot, Anush Gasparyan, who works on her PhD thesis at Faculty of Law at Delhi University, where she studied law and received her master's degree in comparative laws. Apart from her academic accomplishments, Anush has taken active part in extracurricular activities. She was a president of Students' Union of International Student House of Women University of Delhi in 2012-2013. She is fluent in Armenian, English, and Russian languages and has conversational skills in Hindi. Let us give her a warm applause.
Thank you very much. Go to my 50 plus level. Your Excellency.
You have to come forward, otherwise the light of the room.
Your Excellency, distinguished guests, dear students, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the opportunity to be present today here. And before starting my presentation, by taking into account that the majority are students around us, I would like to make an announcement. I expected that here we will have from different countries, as such it is the World Economic Forum. Here we have from India representatives, and if any from any other countries also. I would like that today's conversation will be based not only on the attendance, on the presentation listening, and coming out from the conference with the huge information, but again, no implementation. So what I expect from today's presentation that we all will have kind of a small exercise together. Wherever I will be going and speaking through my slides, I would request all of you to have some notes just for yourself, to make some kind of comparative approach that what's there in your country and what's there in your countries. Okay, so you will have apart from India other participants too, and what's there in Armenia. And at the end of the presentation, we'll have this exercise in implementation, and we will be able to come up with the practical solutions, and we will go one step ahead rather than it's just a conference or forum participation. We'll come up with the greater ideas. Let me start my presentation. It's on importance of women entrepreneurship with special reference to Armenia. Why this topic? Why I have decided to talk particularly about entrepreneurship? Well, it is country representation, and when first you hear that you have to represent your country, and particularly when you have to talk on your favorite topic, of course, first thing in your mind is coming, I have to cover everything about women. But it's impossible. It's impossible because there is only 1 hour limitation. When we are talking about women issues, we know that be that Armenia, be that India, be that any other country, and evidence to that is today's big huge forum, that it's a World Economic Forum on women issues. We have issues a lot. We have issues related to discrimination in domestic level. We have issues like sexual harassment at workplace. We have several issues, and in 1 hour, you will be not able definitely to cover everything. So what I have tried to understand what is that one thing which is very important and which is able to reflect everything whatever woman is facing, and through that particular topic, through help of that particular topic, to give a solution to all the women problems. So why entrepreneurship? First of all, let us answer to the question, what's self-actualization? Why we need to be self-actualized? And especially, I want to ask this question to our future generation. Students are here, and I want to know, I want they know that for everyone, definitely, for every person, be that woman, be that man, for us, it is important to see around us self-actualized people. That kind of person who is able to create, who is able to be judgmental, who is able to innovate, and etc. So, doesn't matter that's woman or man. We all like role models. We don't like, that's normal human behavior. We don't like to be around those who are not able to give us something to learn from them. Yes, we have people around us that kind of, but we ourselves become for them role model if they are not. So for that reason, let us understand the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is quite important way of explanation how, through what kind of levels every human being should pass that to reach to self-actualization. When we reflect to the physiological needs, it's important to understand that until unless we don't have air to breathe, we don't have food to eat, we don't have water to drink, we will not be able to think about our safety and security, right? Yeah. But once we have already satisfied our first level needs, food, water, etc., so we already start thinking about the another step. It's safety, security, to have house, to be secured in the society, and etc. What is that? That how it is not possible to reach to one after another levels? It's because Maslow believed that, and I also follow that belief, that if you as a human being do not have access to food, do not have access to water, to the basic survival needs, then all your physiological entity will be directed towards how to survive, how to be able to get the food, water, etc. So then in that condition, nobody, be that woman, be that man, will not be able to think about, for example, to sit and think about American history, to sit and think about, oh, what should I do that, to change this world to the better side. It will be impossible. And then one by one we are going, whenever we are already fulfilling the a level after another level our needs, then we are thinking about love and belonging, the self-esteem, then we are becoming self-actualized. So now, in the beginning I said that there are million issues related to women. Well, because of that issues, where we see women, do we have hope that women are able actually to be self-actualized? No, they remain somewhere there, down in physiological needs, somehow. Don't forget about that we are talking women as separate human beings. We are not talking about women who has support from her family, who has support from her men around, and etc. So in that case, women are remaining somewhere in down levels. Entrepreneurship is one of the means that will actually boost this and will give an opportunity for women to reach to the level where she wants to see herself, to be self-actualized. This is one of the main points to start this topic. And today's discussion's objectives will be on country profile. Well, we are talking about Armenian women, emphasizing Armenian women. So I'm sure it will be not at all fair that to talk about the women and without understanding where the women belongs. So it's very important for us to understand the country. And then we will talk about, in general, what do we understand when we talk about women in Armenia. Then we will talk about, in general, what's women entrepreneurship overall in the globe. What are the importances of that? And then we will reflect already to the women entrepreneurship in Armenia. We will conclude with our exercise, which I requested you. We will add our ideas, how we can come out from this conference with new suggestions, with new opportunities for the development of the, not only on issue of entrepreneurship, but of course other issues also related to women. So, now about Armenia. Under this section, we are going to talk about historical background, about the constitutional status, population, geography, capital city, language, and demography of the country. History. Well, we can talk hours and hours about Armenian history, but I have taken out the highlights. It's important to note that Armenia is a nation, very ancient nation. And that's not only my words, not I am saying it, but to that you can see the right side and in the left side evidences in the top, which have been found in Armenia, shoes which was found in Armenia in some of the caves, which is 500 years old, and also winery, again in one of the Armenian caves, which is about 6,100 years old. Not only this, but if you go through the history indeed, you can see the reflection of different ancient historians in their notes when they reflect to Armenians. And one of the examples are here, you can read. Also, it is important to note about the Armenian fact of being the first state, the first Christian state in the world. In 301 AD, Armenia adopted Christianity as a state religion directly by the apostles of the Jesus. And that is why we are apostolic Christians. And do not talk much about Christianity, let us refer to how Christianity reflected on the women. Well, Christianity has given greater freedom than before women had. And we say that apostolic Christianity allowed in some cases, in necessarily cases, for a woman if they need to have a divorce. One of the dark pages of Armenian history, and which also had great influence on the women is the genocide of Armenians. So this was a systematical killing of Armenians living in their ancestors' homeland in the western Armenia by Ottoman Turks. Around 1.5 million Armenians died during the genocide. And of course, as in every genocide, the first victims were women. They were raped, they were kidnapped, they were forced into forced marriages, forced prostitution, etc. And please note about the below given dates, about the independence of Armenia from Soviet Union, 1991, and also when Armenia joined the, ratified the UN, became the UN member in 1992 March. These dates are very important because when we are going to talk about the prospects, about the situation of women in Armenia, it's important to remember how young country is. Well, another slide is about the constitutional status of the country. The Republic of Armenia is a secular, sovereign, democratic, and social state. The state power is administrated pursuant to the constitution and the laws based on the principle of separation of the legislative, executive, and judicial powers. Constitution of Armenia protects human rights, fundamental freedoms, and equality between men and women. Population of Armenia. In Armenia, we are not so many numbers like you in India. We are only 3 million, but we have one unique thing about us, that Armenia is not only, when you talk about Armenian population, you have not to, limit yourself with how many people are there inside the Armenia. But before coming to that, let me tell that 96% of Armenians in Armenia are ethnic Armenians. We also have minorities like Russians, Yazidis, Kurds, and Assyrians. And when I was talking about that unique part of Armenia, that it's not only about Armenians who are in Armenia, that Armenian diaspora, which is around 6 million around the world, Armenian communities. And very important to note that, well, how it was, how Armenian diaspora occurred. That is, Armenian diaspora formed throughout the centuries as a result of process of Armenian statehood and genocide of 1915 when Armenians were spread all over the world. And when we are talking about diaspora and when we are talking about it's important for us very much. Why? Because there is a strong unity between Armenians inside Armenia and Armenians of diaspora. How? The problems are common. We give them common solutions. We have very strong communities abroad which are having serious social and legal institutions. I will not now list one after another all the organizations of our diaspora, but I will give an example, one of them, which is more related to our today's topic. It's Armenian International Women Association, which is affiliated with Commission of State Status of Women, also with UN Economic and Social Council, Department of Public Information, and it is basically there for support of women. It provides different kind of scholarship opportunities for young girls and also business development programs and etc. And in order to bring into more formal level, we have formed in 2008 Diaspora Ministry, and it's also important to note that the Minister of Diaspora is a woman. And that's this much about the population of Armenia. See, now you can see the difference. You can see that yes, we are 3 million, but it's not all about us. Geography. Armenia is situated in South Caucasus region between Europe and Asia. This is one of the complicated questions whenever you will ask, where are you from? And it's difficult to say, okay, it's Eurasia, it's Asia, it's Caucasus. So now definitely you know it is South Caucasus region between Europe and Asia, and shares border with Iran to the south, Turkey to the west, southwest, Georgia to the north, and Azerbaijan to the east. Capital city. Well, our capital city is going to celebrate next year its 2800th anniversary. Also, it is important to know that more than half of the population, more than 1/3 of the population lives in Yerevan. Why it is important to know about? Because when we are talking about entrepreneurship, we have to keep in our mind that actually women are more active in the capital city than in rural areas. Well, about the language. From me in the right side, from you on the left side, you can see the alphabet of Armenia, and in this corner you can see the repository of our ancient manuscripts of Armenia, this beautiful building. And our Armenian language is a state language of Republic of Armenia. It's an independent branch of Indo-European languages, and it's important to know that it's ninth among all these languages, and here we have Tamil in the first. Yeah. Claps for that to India. Around 5 million people all over the world speak Armenian. That's not fixed data, it might be more also, of course. And also important to know that most of the Armenian populations has good command over Armenian, Russian, as well as in English. Demography. Well, if we will not talk about this, then we will think that this girl is talking, taking things from the sky, and it's not possible to say that what is the situation of women if we will not refer to the demography. Here are just, do not make you bored, just basic things about the population. If we divide by sex, you can see again that here female are more in numbers. Life expectancy at birth years, you can see that women has longer life. And also about literacy rate, this is the pride of Armenians, that men and women are equally literate. But still, in some points, women are more than men. Well, about the culture, it's an endless topic. We can talk and talk and talk, but I just say that you have to yourself go through and discover yourself about Armenian culture. We'll reflect on it that our women been famous from the old times up to date for their carpet weaving, and also lace making is an important part for the Armenian woman, and still it is. And when we talk about modern Armenian women, we can find many popular Armenian singers, musicians, dancers, successful architects, and etc. The women in Armenia. Under this section, we are going to talk about historical background, legal protections, division of labor by gender, and education. Historical background. This is not repeating what was there. This is particularly for the women in Armenia. It's important to note that Armenian women throughout the history were enjoying the equal rights with men. For that, we have the evidence of Shavivan 443 BC laws, which gives us an understanding that it provides equal rights when it comes to the share of property with the male family members, and also, of course, it hasn't deserted the women, so they have ownership over the property. Another important point to note is that First Armenian Republic was one of the first in 1820 to give women the right to vote and to be elected, and 8% of the members of the parliament were women. Another very important thing to say that the first female ambassador in the world was Dr. Diana Abgaryan, ambassador of Armenia in Japan in 1920. Another good fact about Armenian women and men equality, that was the Soviet era, where we got equal rights for men and women in work, educational sector, in social, in economic life, state guaranteed free education in school, in universities, free medical care, etc. And according to the laws of independent today's Armenia, women and men enjoy equal rights in political life, in work and family. Legislative norms of Armenia are mainly in correspondence to the major international laws. But yes, it is, as I said, remember the dates when we got our independence. It is important to know that as a young republic, we are still in a process of adoption of international norms into our legislative. And for that, we are in cooperation with European institutions, and our policies are mainly based on European standards. Legal protection for women. The Republic of Armenia has ratified the United Nations Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women in 1993. Also, UN conventions, we are part two. There are many in list, but I will refer the one which is more relevant to our today topic is equal pay for male and female workers for work of equal value and discrimination in respect of employment and occupation. Article 28 of Constitutional Republic of Armenia clearly states the principle of equality between women and men. Article 86 refers directly to our today's topic, which is empowering the business environment and promoting entrepreneurship and promoting actual equality between men and women. And to this part we will go a bit later. So now, division of labor by gender. Yeah, I think this is one of the issues all over the world, the social stereotypes. And yes, in Armenia, the women from history have been considered that the home household is of the woman domain. In Soviet Union, what happened? Women and men both got equality for working out, for the job, for the work. But then what was happening here? As a cultural country, back from the work, woman has to again balance the household. And here we come with the double load and forced structural discrimination, which makes women's conditions as a working woman quite difficult. And in terms of employment, women enjoy equal rights with the men. And it's important to note that in Armenia today, the main work areas of women are in the sectors of education, health, and services. Women also account for most of the domestic unpaid labor. It's everywhere in the world. If I will ask now to you, to our students, let's take how many of your mothers work? Just raise your hands.
They worked.
They don't work at home? See, this is how it is. Everywhere you ask this question, only 2-3 persons will raise their hand by considering that work is only going out from the house and doing some employment. But whatever they do at home, it's not considered as work. So this is how it is, domestic unpaid labor, which is not considered as a work. So about the education, several times I mentioned we have seen by demography also that yes, Armenian women are literate and there is equal rights for education, etc. But it's very important to mention what's now there in Armenia. Armenia joined the Bologna process. We all know, I suppose that about the Bologna process. It's about integration into the European area of education. And in order to make our education system in compliance with the European education system, this will make, of course, the situation of women easier. They will be able to work not only in Armenia, but they will be able to go ahead in their future with different countries also. Also, we can be able to have from abroad in our country, students, workers, and etc. And we are also partly of, we may say that Armenia is mostly part of different campus and Erasmus Plus projects like Picasa, like Mahatma, like Align, and etc. And in all these projects, majority are women, and this is giving them huge opportunity to develop themselves as the independent woman as the woman who is going ahead with career, because they are taking part in several trainings abroad inside Armenia, which is giving them better exposure to the greater world. Okay, now we came to the women entrepreneurship, importance of women entrepreneurship, and the women entrepreneurship main factors. When we talk about the importance of women entrepreneurship, yes, it's actually important to have men entrepreneurs. Now, what is here different is, if we will have also women in that area, this will give great development to our country's economy. As we understand, men are there, but we know that women have skills, greater abilities, but they are not able to sustain in this area. So to have women as entrepreneurs is very important in order to double the economy of the country together with men to have them. And if to give them equal opportunities, they will of course enjoy their equal rights. So main factors why women should be entrepreneurs. In the start, when we talked about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, now we can reflect here again that it's giving them flexibility to balance home and work, particularly for the countries like Armenia I talked about, and why not we may say that in India also, many other countries where woman has to take care of household. Entrepreneurship is a great opportunity for them to be flexible to balance home and work. And of course, it's for self-development, it's for financial independence, it's for taking into account moral values, ethical standards. For example, some women are facing some kind of discrimination domestic. Their husbands are not letting them, let's say, to have discussions with other men, etc. So this is one of the options to be your own boss. And job security. I talked about the sexual harassment at workplace, which is nothing new in our countries. Again, if you will have entrepreneurship, again, she's her own boss. So her job is somehow secured, because when women are going outside of the house for work, there are several things to think about. So one of the things will be solved here if you will have entrepreneurs. About the desire for autonomy, freedom, and independence, of course, we talked there is repetition. So, women entrepreneurship in Armenia. Under this section, we are going to talk about social background, specific fields of female entrepreneurship in Armenia, challenges, development programs, good practices, success stories, social background. We already talked a lot about to understand the stereotypes. While just summing up whatever above was talked, we may say that the main factor in Armenia is the social notions about the permissible roles for women and men. Despite the fact that women are educated, women are skilled, etc., in any case, business is considered a domain of the men. This is a scenario that social stereotypes work here too. Now let's have a look. What are the specific fields of women entrepreneurship in Armenia? In educational services, many women, it is like sad to say that, yeah, we have seen that there's a huge number of literate Armenian women, but not all are working. So how they use their knowledge? Many women are taking tutorials at their houses. So this is educational services. Be that languages, be that preparation of the school, and etc. In services like beauty salon, gym, tour management, repair, tailoring, design centers, catering. Yeah, this is one of the interesting parts. In catering, there in Armenia we can see women. We may say this is also women domain. It was surprising for me to come to India and see men are working everywhere in the catering. There are only men. I was like a bit having the cultural shock. And in trade like food, household items, clothing, cosmetics, hygienic products, etc. In textile. So what are the challenges that Armenian women face. I would request, if you are still keeping that exercise into your mind, I would just request emphasize on this slide because it's more relevant to our exercise what we are going to do. It's a lack of capital, limited access to commercial loans. But this is issue of not only women but men equally in Armenia. But what is their difference between women and men in this part is that even women have ownership, even she has joint ownership, decision making is not her domain. So decision making is of husband, brother, father, or maybe son if she is a mother, but not for a woman. This what makes her, for her to start her business, to go ahead with difficult. Bank loans are generally not available for startups. Again, we can say that this is a problem for both, for men and women. And but when it comes to women, of course, if you have great project plan and all, you can still get with high interest rate, which is 12%. Yes, if you have very good business plan, it may be lower than this. But still, if you are a woman, it makes a bit like not trusty that, oh yeah, she will be very successful in this part, and yeah, we have to, go ahead with her plan. Besides, high rate repayment period is very short, and it makes the situation again difficult. Social stereotypes about which we already talked a million times. But this is mainly, it's important to know that it's mainly about rural women, not the women in capital city in Yerevan. Scenario is quite different. A lack of confidence and faith. And again, we can reflect here mainly the rural women, not the women in Yerevan. They are not having the leadership skills, they are not having technical knowledge, and they are not having these role models around, and they are not aware about that to go ahead with their own ideas and the plans. And the lack of awareness about the government projects, programs. Government has several programs, particularly for the rural women. Not always that every woman are aware about. For example, each project has its targets, and this is how they go ahead with. But if everyone will be aware, of course, scenario will be different. It will change. Lack of experience in all stages of entrepreneurship. Of course, we need good experience, and this is what is not there. Now about the recent development programs and good practices. So what happened there? If you remember, I forgot if you remember, but I forgot. In previous slide, I talked about I remember in Constitutional Article 86, which was reflecting on entrepreneurship, and particularly it was reflecting on giving actual equality to men and women under another clause of the same article. So here, how it is coming into implementation? By the help of Gender Policy Strategic Action Plan 2011-15, which especially emphasizes finance and gender projects and helps small and medium enterprises whose owners are women, as well as increased credit programs for women. This is how the developments are taking place. Then another, I find it really very important when we talk about challenges, when we see there is an issue of awareness, there is issue of confidence, there is issue of having a role model around. So this is one of the important points that the Council on Affairs of Ensuring Equal Rights and Equal Opportunities between Men and Women in the Republic of Armenia was established under Prime Minister Decree in 2014 as a national mechanism for coordinating and ensuring equal rights and equal opportunities for men and women in aspects of public life. And it's also important to note that this very same council is organizing annually the competition, not the competition, awards for the women entrepreneurs. For example, the best businesswoman of the year, the most successful woman, etc. And this is what really encourages them. and Ministry of Economic Development and Investment of Republic of Armenia is also having several projects for women, and one of them again, which is directly to the encouragement, is the competition for women entrepreneurs every year. And then to talk about projects, what kind of projects we have there for, there are several, but I just emphasize this one too. It's about the National Agency for the Promotion of Small and Medium-Sized Entrepreneurs. With the support of development program of the Asian Development Bank, has started Women's Entrepreneurship Support Sector Development Program in 2013. That to develop a women entrepreneurship strategy. Its overall objective is to increase of women participation in the overall economic development of Armenia. Well, about the Armenian Young Women's Association, and this is one of the important organizations there in Armenia, which is giving free, for example, one of them, Lilith Avedian Creations by designer Lilith Avedian. She is a professor of fashion design at Yerevan said that story, and you will look back at her story, how she achieved that. It was through the trade fairs, by introducing, she started everything inside her house. She had only hope that she will be able to go ahead with her idea. And very successfully, she is now, we may say, world famous. Another is the fashion specialist Christina Grigorian, who established one of the most successful fashion studios, Studio Christie Fashion, in Armenia. In 2016, she was recognized as the most professional designer and awarded the title of youngest businesswoman by Prime Minister, the one which I said that there are awards yearly. So the another lady is Hristiber Barsagyan, and there are many more like them. The list is endless, that I will not bore you with speaking about them. These are pictures of these ladies, and well, let us talk about we spoke about the successful Armenian women in Armenia. Now let's not forget about the Armenian diaspora, which is of great importance for us Armenians. So one of the first, Bohar Jan, you might be knowing her. She is Armenian Indian dancer in Calcutta. In her times, very famous, and the first dancer who has been recorded while dancing and singing. Another one is the Margarita Simonova Simonyan, a Russian journalist of Russia Today. She is also a world famous. And Shirley Sarkisian, the American singer. Kim Kardashian, of course. And definitely it will be not fair. We talked about past, we talked about present, and how about future? You might be knowing her, future famous Armenian That's just for fun. Now, this was the, we may say, sum up of our today's presentation. I would love to more emphasize on this part. Let us talk and think about the prospects. Yeah, feel free, even the students, please feel free to come up with your ideas if you have some ideas. So what I see is that I find this kind of, as I said in the beginning, this kind of events as a great opportunity to start the cooperation together. If not on particularly entrepreneurship field, then there are a million other issues related to women. And myself, I am doing PhD in Delhi University, and my thesis topic is on violation of human rights of working women, theory and practice of both Armenia and India. It's a comparative study. And I would love to have new ideas and together to go ahead with new projects. And here today we have our ambassador, and that's really very welcoming that he is here and he is standing for women, and this is really great, very encouraging, particularly for young women like me. Thank you, sir. So my suggestion suggestions are we can have experience exchange among different countries with different cultural, social, legal backgrounds, cooperation between organizations dealing particularly with women development, to have joint projects, seminars, if not possible seminars, then at least webinars, cross-trainings, and etc. Initiate international fairs. Yeah, you may say that, yes, this woman, for example, I have shown different women who've been participating in different international fairs, but I'm not sure that particularly between India and Armenia, yes, there are international fairs between India and Armenia, but particularly for entrepreneur women. Are there any fairs like that? I don't think so. And if we have these great governmental bodies who are dealing with the women issues, I mean particularly on entrepreneurship, so this can be a great opportunity to go ahead and to find someone in India also who is interested on having tie-up between these two countries and to organize international fairs for the both Indian and Armenian women entrepreneurs where they can show their products, where they can come up with their skills and etc. So rest is your ideas. You go ahead. If not today, you have my email down there. You can mail me whatever ideas you have, and we can go ahead with new prospects and greater plans. Thank you very much.
Any idea on someone wants to do some kind of joint venture with a company that how much go on
I mean, it's very simple. Armenia is an open economy.
Please,
we have a, first of all, I would like to thank Anush Gasparan for her presentation. And since we have students in this room, I want to elaborate on one particular point that Anush just has mentioned. Like any other country, we have our own problems, and we have also some small achievements and accomplishments. But I think Armenia benefits a lot from international cooperation when it comes to the rights of women. And let me tell you how. Being part of the Eastern Europe, Armenia is a member of some very important European organizations. Armenia is a member of Council of Europe. I don't know if our young ladies, boys and girls are familiar with the European institutions. Armenia is a member of Council of Europe. Armenia is a member of OSCE, Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. And plus also we have a partnership legal agreement and relations with the European Union. Armenia is not a member of the European Union, but we have a partnership agreement. And having become a member of these organizations, country has taken certain obligations and commitments. We are being monitored by these institutions, and regularly Armenia submits its reports. In case of India, there is also the similar mechanism in your relation with the United Nations. But let me tell you very frankly that we greatly benefit from our membership to these European institutions. Maybe some of you travel to Europe, different countries of European Union, and probably you agree with me that women, problems of women, they still do have problems, but not as much as we have in our countries. So, and we greatly benefit from our cooperation with these countries due to these commitments and responsibilities. And very often, besides the monitoring and periodical reports in these organizations, some financial aid from these very countries and these institutions is conditioned by accomplishment, by realization of certain commitments and obligations. So it's not that we are very smart and very conscious, but because there are some commitments
and some obligations attached with the financial needs of the country. So in this regard, country has been benefiting from 1991 when we gained independence, and otherwise, I think if had we have been left alone ourselves, I don't think that we would have, this accomplishment and achievement. So I mean, international cooperation. I'm telling you this as a diplomat, that international cooperation for Armenia has been very, very fruitful and very important and very useful in providing and securing the women's rights in Armenia. But again, as I said, we still have many, many problems. But I do hope that with representatives of young generation and scholars like Anush Gasparian, and in cooperation with other countries, we would succeed on this path. Now coming to the question of economic opportunities and particularly joint ventures, Armenia is an open country. We have started, in fact, together in 1991-92, we also initiated economic reforms, but unlike of India, Armenian reforms has been based on the Washington consensus. So it is the most liberal concept of economic reform. So Armenia is an open country. Ownership rights are not limited. So establishing company very recently, I was in Armenia. Probably you know that the Vice President of India, Honorable Vice President Mr. Ansari, was visiting Armenia, and a group of businessmen were in the same time in Yerevan, in the capital. And when I met them, they told me that, wow, it took just 30 minutes to open a company in Armenia, to open a bank account. So in this regard, it is very, very easy. We have a very doing business. Probably you are familiar with this index, ease of doing business, established by the World Bank, and Armenia's ranking is 34th in the country, whereas India 100 below. So I mean that in terms of legislation, Armenia's legislation is very favorable, very liberal, and. Of course, you can Google them to find all information, but of course, it goes without saying that Embassy of Armenia is also be very happy to assist or to guide you should you have any plans. So, please, any questions? Okay, so I want again just to thank organizers. For this opportunity, once again to thank Anush Gasparian, and I'm looking forward for cooperation. I wish the young generation, to strive for progress, to strive for. Your limit is really skies. I don't like this, wording. But in case of India, it's a huge country. It's a huge country. You have a brilliant and very impressive accomplishments. Regrettably, perception about India in some countries is lagging behind the realities and the accomplishments you have in this country. But I do believe that with new generation educated in the best universities, I always, during my visits to different states, I always visit universities, and I'm very, very impressed by Indian universities. So I believe that you have all opportunities in this country to strive for accomplishments, for success, and I wish you every success in your endeavors. Good luck. Thank you very much. Yes, please.
I'm a healer and a life coach. So what are the opportunities? Is Armenia open to other healing modalities, and what is the situation there currently regarding the emotional and spiritual development of women and men both?
Tricky question.
Is there scope?
Yeah, of course there is. There is. This. I don't know which is right to say, traditional or non-traditional medicine, because very often we refer to traditional medicine that comes from the centuries, but sometimes they call traditional medicine nowadays medicine. So alternate. Okay, let's call it alternate medicine. becomes quite popular in Armenia, and in this regard, India is a very attractive and very interesting country. And let me inform you that last year, the president of Yerevan State Medical University visited India, and we signed an agreement with Ministry of Ayush. Yes, and the Department of Ayurveda and Homeopathy was established in Yerevan State Medical University. So, and by the way, we have around 900 students from India studying in Yerevan Medical University, and they also raise awareness about Indian, traditions in this regard. And I believe that, of course, I'm not the right person to elaborate more on this topic, but I can tell you that people nowadays become more, interested in this kind of, alternative medicine, as was said.
I have a question, sir. What happens generally, like we are masses, okay? And in India, getting access to governmental intervention and support from them is a Herculean task, because it's too much sapping on your energy to go ahead with anything. So, do we have access on individual level, if we have the right infrastructure to come directly to you, and probably we may kind of have a lot of exchange in terms of heroes and fairs of very, very Indian kind. So, promoting our work.
You mean in India? You mean embassy?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Yes. No problem.
At the embassy also, I'm visiting your country, and we have cross-cultural exchange. So
it should be, it should be first of all a little bit studied, and the right connections established. Then no problems. I mean, from point of political and legal points of view, there are no obstacles whatsoever. But of course, this cooperation needs some, investigation, some studies.
Yes, everything has to be in place.
Yeah, of course, no problem.
As an individual, we can come directly. We don't need to go through government or government procedures.
No. Government has nothing to do. Just you have to find right partner.
Because we never get there. If you go through that access, you will never get there.
No. I mean, again, it's open country. In fact, you remember it was American President Ronald Reagan who said that the government itself is a problem.
Which is true. In its own way. It's not that they are not doing good work, but then it becomes their
sometimes
the
they
population
do. Sometimes they do. Don't be so categorical, because But of course, I mean, on some issues, it's a private initiative that works more effectively rather than the government. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Your Highness. It was a pleasure listening to you, and I think we are all, and for Risha also.
Give a big round of applause, ladies.
Big round of applause for that. And I'm sure we are all going to know about going to Armenia very soon. I'm already having ideas in my head. So we'll be there very soon. Thank you so much for this session. Thank you. Thank you, audience. Can we have photographs?
Yes, group photograph.
Group photograph, please. So please, can we have a photograph? Please come on, students. Come on.
Come. Get a picture. Great opportunity, right? You all can sit down. The short one is fun. You're almost in the group photo. Can we cool and Come join us. Thank you.
चेयर आपकी दीदी आई तो दिया
Yeah, look at. Okay. Wait, hold it. 1 second. Yeah.
See Armenia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
ठीक है।
मीडिया, फॉर्मेट मीडिया।
हाँ, ये रहा। ये में